Hi, this is Gökçe and Steve. In February 2020, after years of planning, we quit our jobs to travel the world and document our adventures on YouTube. Unfortunately, after starting our journey, coronavirus began to rapidly grow and took over the world in March. We never thought our story would start like this, but here we are, home, under quarantine, and we hope everyone's staying home at this time as well.
When Gokce first came to me 3 years ago, I honestly thought this idea was a little bit crazy, but I have since come along with the idea and we began planning, and we never thought we would wind up, or the world would wind up in a situation that they're currently facing. This was 3 years in the making, a year plus of planning, booking tickets, saving up credit card points, and saving up as much money as we can to make this dream an actual reality.
Of course, this came with a lot of sacrifices. We had to save a lot of money, and in order to be able to do that, we moved out our apartment last year. We moved in with my sister, and then we sold some of our furniture that we were no longer needing. And then we also cut a lot on our social life. We cut expenses, and of course, we had to communicate this well with our close friends and family, which was a big step to take as well. And finally, we quit our jobs.
It was a safety net and a band-aid that needed to be pulled off in order to make us take that step. And the coronavirus at that point was really contained to China, maybe a little bit in Iran and Korea. So we still felt confident that we could take the next step on our journey and begin our world travels. And at that point, we were actually going to transit through Hong Kong. So last minute, we rearranged our flight and were able to fly through Los Angeles onto our destination, Australia, instead.
Then we said goodbye to our loved ones, and we took a very long journey for about 30 plus hours all the way to the other side of the world to Australia.
So when we landed in Melbourne, you couldn't really tell that there was anything going on in the outside world. We were just able to enjoy the city and the people.
Everything was super lively. Cafes, restaurants were full. People were enjoying themselves. And most importantly, Steve drove on the left side for the first time, and he had a great time driving. And we saw the Great Ocean Road. Everything was fantastic, and we enjoyed our travel in Melbourne.
So after Melbourne, we made our next stop to Auckland, New Zealand. And Auckland, it was the same boat. When we first got there, there really wasn't any issues at all. There were only 5 cases in all of New Zealand. So we felt comfortable that this potentially could be contained. So we got to experience Auckland and the surrounding areas like we wanted to.
And of course, we got Steve's childhood dreams come true, and we went to Hobbiton.
It was 20 years in the making. I've seen the movies, read the books. I was so excited to finally go there.
And we were on the road for a week, and our camera already died on us. And that was the biggest issue we were facing at the time.
Yeah, it seems pretty irrelevant to have a camera break on you now, and of course with everything else that's going on in the world. So we were thankful enough that we still had our phones and our GoPros, and we were able to continue our journey using those.
The first 2 red flags we got was when we were in Auckland on our last day. The first one was our flight was canceled, and they rebooked us on another flight for the next day. And also our Airbnb host canceled on us, and she said that she shouldn't be around international travelers because her job wanted her to quarantine for 14 days otherwise.
Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, they were small issues that we quickly resolved. We were rebooked onto an early flight, and of course, we found another hotel to stay at through Expedia. So at the end of the day, we continued on to Sydney, and we still felt comfortable and confident because there were less than 100 cases in Australia at that point.
And in Sydney, again, everything was super lively. Cafes, restaurants were full. People were enjoying themselves. Up until the news announced that Tom Hanks got coronavirus, and he was currently in Australia, and that started freaking out everyone from Australia and the world.
Yeah, we got a bunch of texts and calls asking us if we were right, and of course we were. We were in Sydney. Tom Hanks actually was in Brisbane, which was 3 hours away. And on the same day, on top of Tom Hanks getting coronavirus, it was also the NBA season being suspended. So this is the first time that a lot of people, I think, began taking this virus seriously, because now it was affecting people that others knew.
Yet again, people did not apply any kind of social distancing, and the only thing that we noticed was the panic buying. There was no toilet papers or hand sanitizers at the pharmacies. We actually visited 6 to 7 different pharmacies and could not find any hand sanitizer.
It was crazy though, because even though the hand sanitizer was sold out, hand soap was completely stocked. So I don't know what people were thinking there. But at that point, we went to bed. Unfortunately, we woke up to the news that India was then suspending all tourist visas. and it was going to be one of our next stops on our journey.
So, since we were no longer going to be able to go to India anymore, we decided to extend our next stop, which was going to be Bali, from 1 week to 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we thought that would be the best idea, and we felt comfortable still continuing on the Bali at that point. So we decided to stay 2 weeks in Bali and continue on with our trip. And we kind of didn't expect what to find on our next flight, though.
When we were heading over to Bali, I started getting very nervous because that was only half of the plane was full, and that kind of scared us, seeing that the demand dropped drastically. But the people on the plane were still enjoying themselves, singing, dancing, and they were super excited to go to Bali. So we just decided to be in the same mood and accept the fact that this is part of our travel and we should enjoy going to Bali.
It was our first time ever going to Bali, and we were comforted to see upon landing, even before immigration, there was a temperature check, and you had to confirm that you had no symptoms of the coronavirus before they let you even get to the immigration line. The immigration line only wound up taking 10 minutes when it was normally be an hour. So that gave us a little bit pause, but we were hopeful that things would calm down.
And when we got to our hotel, we also got another temperature check. And then we noticed that the hotel was not also in full capacity either, which started raising the red flags in our head even higher. And within a day or two in Bali, we heard a lot of government regulations from all over the world, which were actually capturing our next destinations as well. Plus, some of our flights start getting canceled or changed, and it just started feeling that everything was changing way faster than we could have ever predicted. And we came to the point where for us, for our health and for our families, the best decision was cutting out our Bali trip and go back home.
The Balinese people were nothing but fantastic and positive, and they thought that this too would pass. And we really agreed with them. But at the same time, once all these travel restrictions started to come into place, we knew that the best bet for us would be to get home before more things started to close. So I was lucky enough to have booked a flight from Japan home on credit card points, because the flights to get back were now $1,500 to $2,000 per person in cash.
So expensive.
So lucky enough, the airline was willing to change my points booking absolutely for free, so we were able to fly back from Bali.
Thanks to Steve, we were able to fly back home with no additional cost. But of course, we had to spend 2 days in our hotel room, staying on the phone, trying to cancel and rearrange all our plans. But for the last 2 days before we took off, we decided to fully enjoy Bali and just decide to not think about this anymore and enjoy being there, since it was our first time being there and there was nothing else that we can do.
So we even got to see the gates of heaven, and normally that would be a 4-hour long wait. And we were lucky enough to get in 5 minutes. Practicing social distancing during this portion of time in Bali wasn't all that difficult. So we got lucky to see the things that we wanted to see in Bali and still keep a safe distance from other people.
Yeah.
And while experiencing all these sights, we unfortunately had a lot of panic set in on the last day due to an email that we wound up getting.
Yeah, when we were visiting those very popular sites, we got an email where it was indicating that our flight for the next day was canceled. And we didn't know what to do because that was our last ticket. And after that, it was very scary, considering we only had 30 days visa in Indonesia. And after that, we didn't know where to go. And we didn't know if we could be able to afford or rearrange our flights back home.
So thankfully, after several hours of calling the airline, Gökçe finally got through to someone who confirmed that our flight actually was indeed still on and that the email was sent in
By accident.
Yeah, which, of course, it was just a huge emotional roller coaster. And I know everybody else is going through these same emotions of not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. And when I finally did make it onto that plane, I just kind of lost it a little bit. I was just so happy to be going home.
Yeah, we're so thankful that we could make it back home, but we know that a lot of people that we met during our trip actually couldn't make it home. And it's really scary to be stuck at somewhere where you don't know the healthcare system. We truly believe this is going to pass, and we really hope that everybody goes through this time period in health and staying safe. But again, we consider ourselves very, very lucky that we made it home.
Absolutely, and this is just chapter 1. We're positive that this will pass, and her şey çok güzel olacak. It's going to be better at some point soon. And in the meantime, we're going to stay home, we're going to stay self quarantined, and we're going to stay safe. And we hope you do so too.
On the upcoming weeks, we are going to be sharing all our adventures with you and the lows and highs, and we're very excited to share all those moments with you.
So stay tuned for those videos, stay home, stay healthy, and we will see you all very soon.
We'll see you on the next one.